Thanks for
Our
joining.
people.
Our people joining in. Yeah, Tommy, thanks for joining, Tommy. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for joining. But I think it goes to your account as well, doesn't it, Melissa? Yeah,
It does. Yes. Yeah.
because I scheduled it. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
Thank you.
it should go to yours because you're the host, right?
Yeah, I think so too. But I don't know because I didn't do it from my normal account. I did it from the outsiders. That might be. I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
I know. Maybe next time we should do it as we've been doing it, just so that people can find us, and then just
Yeah,
tag.
maybe I should have
Right?
done that. Yeah, probably. Yeah,
It is what it is. We'll
it
be
is
all
what
right.
it is. Yeah.
People
Thank
will
you,
find
Zelda.
us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, there's people jumping in now.
Yeah.
Trump is a
Trump
Russian
is
asset.
Russian.
Okay. Yeah. Did you
Very
watch? Did you watch? Obviously, Spain won the World Cup soccer.
I was
So I'm very
thinking
excited.
of you. I was super
Yes.
happy for you.
Yeah.
Yes, I was glad that they, I wasn't rooting for Spain the whole time, but as it got
Mm.
narrowed down, I was definitely rooting for Spain.
Hi, Dave. Yeah. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you,
I-
Dave.
it-
Yeah.
Yes, I was definitely rooting for Spain in the final. And,
Yes.
I was very happy that they won, and I was very happy that Trump got booed.
Yeah.
But it
I
was kind
know.
of sad and depressing that that's where we're at now, but I get it. I would have done the same thing if I were there.
Yeah. I mean, he has to implement himself into everything, doesn't he? Like, just
And
stay out of it.
everything.
Yeah.
He's like a one-man totalitarian cultural
Yeah.
thing. Like he has to be everywhere. I can't take it and just go
Because
away.
because beforehand, I don't know, like a week before, because he was upset at Spain because Spain is against what's happening in Gaza. Spain has called him out for the Iran war. The prime minister has come up, so he
Right.
has this bad relationship with the prime minister of Spain,
Exactly.
and so he
So
was
he's kinda like
rooting.
became a big Argentine. Yeah.
Yeah, so he
became
was
a big
rooting for
Argentine.
Argentina because he loves that. He loves he loves the president of Argentina as his mate, his best mate.
Yes.
And then he did this thing beforehand where he said, "I can't stand Spain. We should ostracize Spain. I'm never going to have anything to do with Spain." And then Spain wins, and he's like, "Hey, Spain, Spain!" So
I
it's
know.
like,
He's
yeah,
standing up there with him. It's like, can you get the
yeah.
hell out?
There's that
Uh,
photo. There's that photo where the president of FIFA is trying to like drag him out. Have you
yes.
seen that photo? Yeah, yeah.
I have
Yeah.
seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
and
really
that's the guy who gave him the peace prize and gave him like took away the red card. Yeah, and he's like
and my
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know much about FIFA. I was just gonna say that my understanding is that there's a lot of corruption there,
Mm.
trying to grease the hands of the people who are in power to,
yeah.
and so that
There's a
there was a madness there.
there's a lot of corruption in FIFA. It's known for being very corrupt, which is
Yes.
why basically they help him out. Yeah.
Of course.
So yeah. So FIFA gave him the prize because they wanted because of course it's going to be the World Cup's going to be in America. So yeah. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, I was just like, I just stay out of sports. Don't ruin everything. You know what I mean? Don't ruin everything.
Everything
Yeah,
for us. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And the
Yeah.
World Cup all around was just such a nice event. I saw that the final
Mhm.
was like the highest rated soccer event in American
Yes.
television history for,
Oh,
in our country.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so it
Oh,
really was a nice thing that kind of brought people together this summer, which we needed.
yeah.
So,
Exactly. And
yeah.
and the other thing is because funny thing is, like in Australia, it's the same. Soccer is not a big sport here, and it's not a big sport in America. Like it is for children, but
Yeah.
it's not for adults to
Yeah,
watch.
not so much for
Yeah.
pros. Yeah.
For pros. And therefore, I think it got a big audience because suddenly America, which has a massive population, they all started watching it because they never really watched it before. So that would have
Yes.
been like because if they play the World Cup in Spain, everybody watches already. You know what I mean? So it's not a new
Of
audience.
course. Yeah.
But now suddenly it's being played in a country where they don't really play soccer. It's like everyone who didn't really pay attention before is now like, oh, that's not a bad sport. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's going to make it more popular for younger Americans to play soccer now. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
Like,
it's already pretty popular
no, I mean like
here.
professional, like become more professional,
Oh,
like,
to keep going on in it?
yeah.
Or for people to attend games.
Yes.
Like here in Philly, we have a pro soccer
Mm.
team, the
Yes.
union. And I always hear I've never been to a game, but I always hear awesome things about it. That it's a lot of fun, and people are,
Yes.
they do a lot for fans. It's a really cool experience. So maybe now
Yeah.
more people will want to, attend a
Do it.
game.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. 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 No, it was good. I loved it. I kind of miss it now. I feel a bit, yeah, because I was watching all the games and
yeah.
yeah,
I
but it
can't
was
wait when
so
the Olympics.
yeah,
Be
like the
sad.
Olympics. Yeah, when it's over. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like,
No money, no money in it here. Not comparable to NFL basketball. And I have to say
exactly.
this in
Or
Australia.
baseball.
Yeah, baseball in Australia. Like one of the biggest sports in Australia is called rugby league, and even the best paid players are on like I would say maybe close to maybe 2 million a year. So it's quite
Wow.
small. Like it's because then I see American sports where people they're not even playing the top one, they're playing college and they're making way more than our best players in our sport. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. Like I think a good college basketball player can make like $10 million a year or something. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
You mean in endorsements?
Yeah, endorsements and all that sort
It
of
used
stuff.
to be you
Yeah,
couldn't. It used to be that was like they changed the NCAA rules
yeah.
around that. It used to be like you couldn't make money as an amateur, but now I
Mhm.
think they changed the rules around that, and now you can. But that's crazy. A kid
Oh,
in college to be making that kind of money.
yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And sometimes I think they buy them. They'll take them in early and pay them money so that no one else can touch them. You know.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I know it's crazy. Anyway, I wish yeah,
It's
that would be great to make. I mean, that's a good way to get out of poverty, isn't it? Like the
you
this
supposed
this
to say, yeah.
the Spanish player. For some reason, I love saying his name, Lamin Yamal. You know that
Yes,
guy, the young guy,
great name.
Lamin
Yes, and the
Yamal.
picture
Yeah.
was so adorable with
Oh
him
yeah,
and
yeah.
Messi from
And Messi,
19 or
Messi.
20 years ago. It was
Yeah,
really cute, yeah. The
but Lamin
oh my
Yamal
god,
comes from I got to say his name again. Lamine Yamal comes from the part of a really poor part of Barcelona, and I have relatives because I said I have relatives in Spain. They come
right.
from a couple of suburbs away. They live there, or they used to live in that area. So I've been to the similar area to where he lives, and it's like a real working class area. So the cameras, and it's an area where there's a lot of immigrants who come from Africa. So his parents, a lot of his family come from Africa.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
immigrated into Spain. So yeah, so he's apparently goes back to that area all the time. And they say we see him in this area all the time. So yeah, he hasn't forgotten where he's come from. Yeah, which
Yeah,
I think is
that's
really
nice.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
seems like a good kid, so I'm sure he has a very bright future.
yeah. Lamine Yamal, great guy. Yeah,
It's a fun name to say, yeah.
he's a fun name to say, and he's like 19. Yeah,
I know he's
yeah,
a kid. He's a
yeah,
baby.
and he's like
That's what I'm
20
saying. I
million.
mean, we could be
He's like
seeing him for another 20 years.
He's $20 million a year and he's 19 years old. Like it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. Do your kids make that sort of money? You should say something to your kids. You should say, look, here's this guy is 19. What are you guys doing?
Yeah,
What are you guys doing? Yeah.
no.
Nice.
I don't make that kind of money, so I have no real
No,
talk.
no, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. I
Well,
know.
where's Nibbles? I don't see Nibbles back there.
Oh, she's actually just there. She's just in the couch there.
Ah,
She's actually see the color of my couches? She's actually a similar color to
she
my
blends in.
couches. So sometimes when she's there, um, you can't even see her unless she moves because she's very very similar color to that. Especially when we haven't
Fine.
she hasn't she, yeah it's when she gets a bit ruggish like she gets her fur comes out a lot. Yeah, um, but she's around. She's around. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Where's your doggies? I noticed that you're in a room that's a little bit more bright.
Brighter again.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm back downstairs. Now this is my dining
Mm.
room. And this is where I
Yes.
usually do this. And then the last couple of times I've been upstairs, it was just a little too dark.
Yeah. You know what
Just
I
a little
noticed? You know what I noticed last time? It's like we talked. I think we talked for way too long last time. It's like 2 hours or something.
we did.
But
We went
it,
a long time.
it went on too long. But what I noticed is at the start of our chat, you were like almost just like what you are now, and by the end of it, I could barely see you. So it just slowly like
It got
you
dark.
slowly
Yeah.
disappeared. I was
No,
thinking you're
it
trying.
well, and that
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I wasn't thinking ahead of time, like, "Oh, we might be on
mm,
long enough that it'll start getting dark because it's the middle of summer,
yeah,
so it stays light very late."
yeah,
And so I didn't prepare. I didn't
mm,
adequately
no,
prepare light source.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
I
thought
thought I
you were
better
like, when you go to a restaurant and they start dimming the lights to try to get you to go.
Yes.
I thought you were doing that to me. I thought like, you know what? I'll dim the lights and Joe will get the hints that it's going on too long. But
I would never do that.
no, I don't.
I'll just
But
say,
I gotta go. It was a subtle hint. It was a subtle hint, but I got it. Yeah, yeah. But yeah. All
"Well,
right.
we did have
So
a lot of good talk that
we
time."
had a
Went a
we
little
had a great
we
talk.
had fun.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we had a great talk. Um,
We had a good
should we talk?
conversation.
Should we talk politics a bit? Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I wanna start with the piece
Mm,
you wrote. Joe here published our first ever Outsiders newsletter piece this
mm,
past week. Well, it
mm.
was actually last week, right?
Yes.
So I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I wrote it. So we obviously have our new account called The Outsiders, and I published. It was called MAGA Arrives in Australia. And it's basically, I guess I wanted to write a piece because obviously I talk a lot about American politics. And for a long time, I've been in Australia. I've been following Trump when he was first got in 2016. And I always felt safe in Australia. I always felt like, it's not happening. It was bad. I felt it was bad, but I felt safety here. It was like, oh God, thank God I'm not in America. As bad as it is, at least I can don't worry about it. And I did write in the piece that I felt even a little bit, I don't know, arrogant about it. Like, America must have a bad education system. You know how people say that? Oh, you know, they're so gullible and all that. And I was thinking some of these things. Unfortunately, it's now happening in Australia. So I'd like to apologize to everyone who I ever insulted in America for
A little
voting
bit
in
of Sean
Donald Trump.
Freud there.
Yeah. But it
Yeah.
is, look, we have a person. Her name is Pauline Hanson. If you ever Google her, she's famous for saying, please explain. She's been around for about 30 years, and she's like, if you think Donald Trump doesn't sound educated, she's like that times 1,000. Yeah. She was being interviewed in the 90s, when she first came out, when she first got into politics back in the 90s. And she said Australia is being swamped by Asians, saying there's too many Asians coming into, because obviously Australia is in Asia as well. So, it's like, yeah. Um, we're the only Anglo country surrounded by Asian countries. So
Right.
she was like, oh, they're coming, and obviously it's more visible. If you get people coming from England, people don't notice because it's just like visibly you can't notice it, right? So she was like fear mongering about Asian people. And she was interviewed by a reporter, and the reporter said, "That sounds a little bit xenophobic." And Pauline responded with, "Please explain," and meaning she didn't understand what the word xenophobic meant. Yeah. And then that became a bit of her "please explain" became a bit of a catchphrase. You know what I mean? And comedians turned it into jokes and "please explain, please." So, but she's even like now, she's still not that much brighter. Like she still talks about she wants Australia to be a monoculture, not multicultural, right? But Australia is already a multicultural. You can't become a monoculture when half the country was born overseas. It's just impossible. It doesn't make any
Right.
sense. So,
You can't
yeah,
put the genie back in the bottle,
exactly.
like
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. And she actually called the Australian soccer team an example of monoculture. And then the people in our soccer team who came from other countries, they were like, no, 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 no. This is multiculturalism. This is not monoculture. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did she actually mean mono race? In other words, was it
Yeah,
it
no,
was
she means what she means. What she means by it is that she says, "Oh, look, we will have people come from other countries, but they have to assimilate to a very strong degree." That's what she's saying.
Right.
But multiculturalism already has that. Like, if in multiculturalism you come to Australia and you could keep, like, if you come to Australia in your 30s, you're not going to stop speaking Spanish or wherever you come from, or you're not going to stop, listening to Spanish music. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, you will still, you want both. You're like, okay, I came to America because I want a better life. It's a great country. But I'm not going to give up where I came from. I'm not going to give up my cultures,
Right.
or, you know what I mean? You know what I
Right.
mean? And she's like, "Oh no, they have to assimilate more." That's what she's saying. They have to assimilate more. Yeah.
Okay. So we have that
Um,
here too. We have that here too. A lot of people that feel that it's no longer, there was always the concept of the melting pot. That when you
yes.
came here, you learn the language, you follow the American way. Um, and I think that that's kind of what's behind MAGA too, because people will say to
Yeah.
you, "Oh no, I'm not racist.
Mm.
I just want people to be just like me." That's what they
Yeah.
ultimately
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because whatever they are is what they consider American. So, yeah, which is silly because nobody gets upset when people are celebrating St. Patrick's Day and they have their Irish flags out.
Yeah.
Nobody
Exactly.
questions that. Or
Yeah.
Columbus
Exactly right.
and they have their Canadian flags out. That doesn't seem to be an issue for people. But if
Yeah.
it's a Hispanic
Mm.
holiday or it's
Yes.
Hispanic show, Mexicans show a little bit of pride in their, country of origin, then some people get a
Yes.
little bit bored.
Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. I agree. It is kind of boring. The idea of, like Zelda says, it's boring. The kind of idea of just being like one. And what is Australian culture? I don't even understand what that doesn't even really make sense, because we don't even, in Australia, we don't even have our, we're like America. You don't even have your own food, like, really, like, proper, like, there's a couple of things, but really, um, it's not like, yeah, it's not like proper food. Like, people go, "Oh, I'm going to go eat Italian. I'm going to go eat Thai. I'm going to go eat Indian." You know what I mean? They don't go, "I'm going to go eat American or Australian," like, for the most part. Like, what is it, a steak? I don't know. Like, it's not like, it's a very different, you know. Yeah,
Right. Like, same
yeah,
yeah, it's like here, you know what I mean? Like, I guess if people were
mm,
gonna say, "Well, what's American food?" Say, like, "Oh, hot dog and hamburger," you know what I mean? I
yeah.
guess, right? You know what I mean? But, like,
But
to
we
me, like, so like, I mean, I agree with Zelda that it sounds boring, that different
mm,
cultures, music, foods, you name it, that
yes,
is what
yes,
makes life interesting and fun. Zelda, I'm right outside Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's where I'm at. She asked where I
mm,
was at, so
yeah, yeah,
just a few minutes outside the city.
yeah, the big smoke.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So,
look,
like,
yeah,
the ring of suburbs there. So yes, and I have a problem with that, like, oh, certain cultures that can show their pride and others do, and suddenly it's a problem,
yeah,
you know? So, oh, Maryland's okay. All right, so you're
mm,
not that far. I love
yeah.
Maryland because more and Ocean City.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice, nice. Nice to have
Yeah.
someone here when someone is close to where you live. It kind of feels cool, doesn't it? It's nice. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Maryland's not too far from us.
Not too far. Yeah, yeah. I think I wrote the article because I just it's like, people, one name, her political party is called One Nation. Pauline Hanson. It is really just a rip off of MAGA. It really is. They even use the slogan "Make Australia Great Again," so they just, like, steal the lines from MAGA.
Yeah.
Also, I wrote in the article. Yeah, it's so unoriginal. Like, it's just, seriously. Um, she's went to a last year before her polling went up, because as I said, she's been around for 30 years, but her polling's always been about 10%, and 10% is just like, it's nothing. Nobody pays attention to 10%, right? Um, so she went to Mar-a-Lago last year with Gina Reinhardt. Gina Reinhardt is Australia's richest person. She's a mining magnate. So she owns big mining. So Australia's a very big country. We have a lot of mines, and we
Yeah.
export a lot of resources to the world, like, Asia, all around the world, even America. So we have a lot of resources. And she went to Mar-a-Lago to meet with Trump and his team, and Trump and his team offered her to help with social media, like make, do ads, run ads,
Right.
all that sort of
Yes,
stuff.
I remember you said that.
Yeah. And about a month later, her polling started going up. Okay. So it definitely did help. He also helps Nigel Farage. Their team also helps Nigel Farage in the UK, same team. And it's all based around immigration. That's the big thing, immigration. Even
Yeah.
though in Australia, we have very strong immigration rules and we don't have a lot of illegal. So the conversation in Australia is probably different to what you have in America and the UK, because in Australia, because we're an island, we have very strong immigration rules. If you come by a boat, you can never settle in Australia. That's the laws. Like you will be put offshore into an. Yeah, it's very strict, right? So when they talk about immigration in Australia, they're talking about legal immigration. Yeah. They're saying that the government brought in too many legal people into the country, not illegal. Yeah.
Right, because there's nobody that's just, like, running over the border
No.
or, you know what I
No.
mean? Because like you said, you're on an island, so it does create an entirely different sort of dynamic about how immigration works, which I guess in some
Yes.
ways makes it easier for the government to, control, right?
Yeah.
But that's
Yes.
interesting. So it's not about illegal immigration at all, which is
No.
very different here because you'll always have people say, "Oh, I don't mind, I
Mm.
don't mind legal immigrants."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it's just
Yes.
illegal. Sometimes I don't think that that's actually so. I think that they
No.
kind of just use that as an excuse or something. But I
Yeah.
don't want to say that's all this, but I think
Mm.
sometimes that's the case. And I do think it's a little bit of a it comes from sort of this like sort of subconscious white supremacy. But I
Yeah.
think that there's a lot of Americans and like anybody in the chat that's American, like you tell me what you think.
Mm.
My impression just from living in America my whole life, being white,
Mm.
the whole
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of white people who will not be mean to
Yeah.
an immigrant. Like, yes, there are ugly racists, like that just exist.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a lot who think, well, no, I would never do that. But they also want a hierarchy
Mm.
where white people are in charge. And they
Yes.
see that being challenged, and that's becoming that becomes uncomfortable for them.
Mm.
And so I think that that's where a lot of Americans fall. Like I don't have numbers on that,
Mm.
but I think it's just like it's almost a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And maybe it
I
depends what country you're in. You know what I mean?
mm.
That's possible too.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
don't know.
I think you're 100% right. It's the same thing in Australia, because the conversation is always around that, oh, it doesn't look like it did 20, 30 years ago. So what are you saying? Because,
What are you
we have,
saying?
yeah, because 20 or 30 years ago, we did have a lot of migration, but it came from England. It came from the UK, came from Europe. And if someone comes to Australia from Europe or the UK, if you go out onto the street, you wouldn't notice because it's the same, same skin color.
Right.
Um,
Same
but
race.
same race. But at the moment, we have more people from Asia and a lot of people coming from India now. And obviously, when you go on a train, you're like visually, you can see, you know what I mean? You can see more
Yeah.
migration. And I think, to be honest, I think human beings are tribal at the basic level. I think we are tribal
Yes.
at the basic level. And I think they, they'll go, oh, there's a million people come from England. They don't see that. They see a million people come from India. It's like, wait a sec, the skin color's all different now. I can see
Yeah.
everything, you know what I mean? And that's like a tribal thing. And some of these people will go, I don't care. I have friends who are Indian, right?
Right.
Oh, I love Indian food. Like, so it's a different type of racism that we have today.
Right.
It's not the KKK type of racism. It's
Right.
more subtle,
More subtle.
It's more subtle. And they will make arguments because I speak to these people all the time, they will make arguments like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like look at JD Vance. I think JD Vance goes into that territory, you know what I mean? Of a white America, a Christian white America, but yet his wife is from India. So he's got a he hasn't
Immigrant.
he
Child of
almost
immigrant.
yes. He represents that new group, which is like because America is so multicultural and Australia is so multicultural, it's very easy for people to go, wait a second, I'm actually married to an immigrant, or I have a friend who's an immigrant, and it's not like, so then it becomes more complicated than I hate just people because they've got different skin color. I think you're exactly right. I think it's about the percentage of people. They're okay with Indian people coming here or Pakistani or whatever, as long as the percentage is not too big. They're like over here, as long as it's, you know what I mean? So yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
package. Exactly. It's the same racism with pretty,
Exactly,
yeah,
Karen. It
yeah,
just yeah, it's a different expression of it. It's
yes.
I've seen some people say, and I understand this point. I've seen some
Mm,
people say that they actually are kind of glad that MAGA, the MAGA movement over the past 10 years has kind of
mm,
brought all of the racists out in the open. Because they said, "You
yes.
know what? Because now we
Mm,
can see it. Now I would rather
yeah.
know what the threat is, know what the size of the threat is,
Mm,
than just everybody acting nice on the surface
yes.
and underneath they're harboring these feelings." So it's interesting, the
Yeah.
whole thing racist. It's interesting, Zelda. Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone, easier to find our enemy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I was
Yeah.
talking to someone the other, yeah, exactly. I was talking to someone the other day on TikTok Live when I was debating someone, and and they were like, "I'm sick of people saying racists." You know, that he was a right wing person, but he said, "I'm sick of the left always calling everyone racist. Everything is about race with you guys. Everything is about race and this like that." And then I said to him, "What do you think about? Do you think there's a genocide happening in South Africa against white people?" Oh yes. Oh yes, there's a big yeah, oh there's a big oh yeah,
Yeah.
white people, racism against white people is massive. And I'm like, wait a second, you just told me that you're sick about talking about race and being called racist, but you think there's like a lot of racism going in. So you're saying that it's all against white people now. Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, what? Like, so you
Well,
do
that's
care
what's
about
behind
racism.
right.
Yeah.
That's what's behind the whole DEI hysteria,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
They
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
there's all this racism against white
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
Um,
They've flipped it. They're like, I don't want to talk about race. We're over
yeah,
race,
and
except
everything
if
about race.
except if it's against white people. That's racism.
That's that.
Um, I
Exactly.
now I will say this: there is zero evidence there is a genocide happening against white people in South Africa. The great thing about TikTok Live, when you debate, there is a section where you can research online. And I asked him live to research genocide, and it literally came up with no, there is no genocide against white people. Um, and I said, "Where did you get your research from?" And he said, "Well, I read this thing on Facebook." So, okay, yeah,
Of course.
yeah, of course, yeah. Why get your yeah? There's a guy
Genius.
called yeah. There's a guy called John 1597698.
Right.
He's got no photo, but that's where he got his evidence from. Like it's just yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
We have to think of these people in cult members. They
Influence here.
believe. Yeah. Oh, Kimmy, thank you so much for coming back,
Thank
Kimmy.
you for the
Thank
chat.
you. Yeah, thank you.
These people are cult
Yeah,
members. They believe lies they're told. That's true. They don't
yeah.
think they're. I
No,
have
that
seen. I have
yeah,
looked at some right wing accounts on Twitter now, X, whatever, and
yeah,
they think that the left is a cult. They think,
yes,
oh no, it's that. They think we're completely brainwashed. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. They do. Yeah, they do. I mean, I just find it. They always say, like, I don't know if you ever look at right wing accounts on Twitter and stuff. A lot of times they will on their account they will have free thinker, critical thinker, right?
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is around Trump. So they've got like Trump this, and then underneath it's got free thinker, independent. They're always independent.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
always got the critical thinking. It's a little bit of a miss. When I see that, whenever I see someone call themselves independent, you could almost always see that they vote for Trump. Independent means Trump now. I'm a Trump supporter. Yeah. And I always say, if you're that predictable, you're not independent. If you're that predictable, I don't think you're independent. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. I think. I guess what they mean in their mind is that
yeah.
they don't. But this is interesting though because
Yeah.
they think that it all goes back
Hi,
to MSM,
Sandra.
right?
Good to see you, Sandra. Yeah. Yeah.
Media.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see
Hi.
you. So,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, hi, Sandra. I always have to remind myself that me is
Yeah.
Sandra.
Me and Sandra.
That's
Yeah.
my
I just
aunt,
look at the
so
photo.
I
I
always
just see
say,
the photo. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
but, like, I think that for some people and now I forget what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Oh, no, you were
Feel like
saying
I'm gonna
that
say something.
you were saying I was talking about independent, people who call themselves independent.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think at one point, maybe that was true, right? Because
yeah.
people were looking at other, like,
Yes,
independent media as opposed to
yes.
just the MSM,
Yeah.
the mainstream
Yeah,
media, which
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
primarily liberal, right? Even if it was true, it was
Mm,
primarily, through a liberal lens. And so I think
yes,
people thought they were independent. Now it's
mm,
all kind of switched,
yes.
like, because now you have independent media sources, like on Substack,
Yeah,
where you're really, finding sort of, more of the truth, because that's where a lot of the liberal
yeah,
type, like then Terry Moran and people like that
yeah,
have
yes,
ended up
yeah,
in places like that. And
yeah,
now you have this sort of right wing sort of influence on a
mm,
lot of the legacy media. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
the Time Post, CNN.
yeah.
They're not what they used to be. Now, they're not
No.
Fox News,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're also
yeah,
not what CBS, obviously,
yes.
So it's kind of interesting that big switch, that's happened, but they still think they're very independent and very,
Mm,
you know, critical thinkers and true blood or whatever the hell I say.
yeah, yeah. I know, I know.
True blood, I see
It's
a lot of times. So I'm like, what are they talking about?
yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
even know what that means.
even if I like to be fair to the other side, if I saw someone who turned their account into like a picture of like Joe Biden, like if their Twitter account was all about, I love Joe Biden's the best,
Yeah,
and then they call themselves independent, I would still be like, well, you're not independent. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
like,
Oh my
like
God,
if
yes.
yeah,
Sure. Goes both
and
ways.
that's
Yes.
that's what I mean. Like they will, their whole Twitter account would be a shrine to Donald Trump. They'll have like a picture of Trump on there. They'll go MAGA the best, and then they have independent. I'm like, no, that's not independent. Like but I think what some of these people think is Donald Trump is not part of the establishment, and therefore Donald Trump is not a Republican, and Donald Trump is not part of the Democrats. He is outside of that, and that's why they think they're independent. That's how I think. They think
I
he's an
think
outsider.
right.
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right, but I think what I meant though was that
yeah.
that's not really true anymore. He took
No.
over the party apparatus. You
Mm,
have the right wing influence now on some of the major media,
mm,
legacy media sites, and
yes.
so it's not what it was in 2016. He's not
Yeah.
the outsider anymore.
No.
He is the establishment now, or at least the Republican establishment. You
Yeah.
know? And so it goes back to what you were saying, Joe, the one time
Mm,
you said it's a lot easier for these kind of parties almost to be in the opposition, almost not to
yes.
be in office
Yeah.
because they don't know how to govern, but they do
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
how to complain, you know?
Yeah. That's
And
right.
so
They're like grievance
they just,
parties. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. They're grievance. Yeah.
exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I agree because they just all they know to do, and that's why it's very hard. The downside of being elected as the
Oh,
outsider is then you become the insider.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's
That's
always
exactly what
you know,
happens, right?
yeah. That's like, as I said, the same in Australia with Pauline Hanson, the new like MAGA type person, is that because she always got 10%, she's still considered the outsider, even though she's been in the Senate for like years.
Yeah.
So a lot of people look at her and they go, she's not, listen to the way she talks. She talks like a normal person, you know, or, yeah, she's not very well educated, so I like that person. Or she talks about immigrants. She gives the people easy, oh, the reason
The
that
red meat.
yeah, she basically we do have problems in Australia. Inflation is a problem, cost of living is a problem, home prices is a problem, and she just blames it on immigrants. Now, as I said, we don't have really a lot of illegal immigrants. She just says that the government brought in too many immigrants, and she fixates on Muslims, the same as MAGA. So it's the same as MAGA. Muslims are this, Muslims are that, Muslims are this, um, and also people from Africa, like Sudan. Yeah. Um, she doesn't have a problem
Refugees,
with
I assume there's like refugees and stuff that are
yeah,
okay.
yeah. She doesn't have a problem. This it might just be a coincidence, but she has no problems from people coming from Norway or Sweden. I'm just saying it could be a coincidence. It could be a coincidence. Like Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, we can't get enough of those people. But someone from a Middle Eastern country or Muslim, yeah.
Go figure.
So, yeah, it's. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. But yeah, but she's very. She's very, yeah. But and again, if you say to someone it's race, they go, no, it's not about race. And yeah, I would rather, to be honest with you, once I was on Twitter, 2 weeks ago, I was on Twitter talking to a right wing Australian guy, and I said, that sounds racist. And he said, that's because I am racist. And I was like,
Well, hey, at least the
I
owner.
like that. I've got to be honest with you. I was like, okay, I actually like that. I was like, this guy isn't trying to pretend not to be racist. I was like, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Right. Don't try to explain to me why your
yeah,
racist viewpoints aren't racist. Just admit
yeah,
that you are.
yeah. I gave
Yeah.
that guy a follow just because at
Exactly.
least he's honest. Do you know what I mean? I said, at least
Right. Right. Right.
I was not expecting him to come back with, that's because I am a racist. I was expecting a whole like, no, 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 it's not another. Yeah, yeah. Hair looks good, Joe. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Well, and that goes
Um,
back to what you were saying earlier too, is that, at
yeah,
least one of the somewhat positive things about
mm,
MAGA is that it's shown us
yeah,
who people really are. Because I
yeah,
think that there was a time in America where there was this sense that at least some people thought that we were sort of post-racial, that when
yeah,
once Obama was elected, they said post-racial America. And I think
mm,
some people really bought into that. And so the fact that Trump was able to, rise after that, it showed that that
mm.
was not the case.
Yeah,
And
no,
that
yeah,
actually
yeah,
having president was
yeah,
infuriating for a lot of people, or at least
yeah.
equalizing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now
But
we know what
Kimmy said I wouldn't follow a racist. Well, unfortunately, that's kind of my thing online. I kind of debate racists and stuff. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it for everyone, but someone has to do it. Yes.
it's your stock
um,
and trade here.
it's my stop and trade in
No,
Australia. Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, in your case, it makes sense because you're
Mm.
debating these people.
I'm
You're
debating
not
them. Yeah.
following them,
I look. I like.
right?
I,
You're not following them because you like what they have to say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the way I look at it is that people like MAGA people or people like in Australia, like One Nation, is that a lot of them they don't have a lot of opinions formed properly, and they don't have a lot of data to back up a lot of what they say. So the way I look at it, you're never going to have an opportunity to be able to debate a group of people who are very easy to debate, not because I'm particularly good at debating, but because the opposition is very bad at data.
right,
So
right, right.
I look at this as a great opportunity because if I had to debate old school Republicans, it would be much harder because they're much more informed, right? So like, if I had to debate Mitt Romney type Republicans, I'd have to go, oh God, I better go and check out the taxes. You know what I mean? I'd have to do some
Right.
research. With these people, it's so easy. It's like take the opportunity because you're never gonna feel so smart ever again in your life. And it's not because of you; it's because of the other people.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for
Well,
doing that.
and
Yeah,
I agree with you.
yeah,
Like, you could disagree till the cows come
yeah.
home with an old
Yes,
school conservative Republican,
yes, yeah,
but they they know they had a fixed principled
yeah,
ideology. There was
yes,
data and other things to back up what they
yeah,
said.
yes,
And look, they had a different outlook on the economy, foreign policy, and all of that, which you can
mm,
agree with, but at least it had internal consistency. There's none of that with
no,
MAGA, like none at all. So as
yeah,
we know,
yeah,
so yeah, so I would think debating somebody from MAGA, it's got to be very frustrating, but also pretty
mm,
simple to beat.
yeah. And also what you notice when you
Not the person to do it.
that's right. And one thing you notice is they all repeat the same things. So you only need to know this much and you've got the whole, you know what I mean? It's like they'll say to you, what they'll say is, Joe, what is a woman? What is a woman? They always do the same thing. What is a woman, Joe?
Yes.
It's all the
Yeah.
same. It's like,
Some
oh,
folks don't
do you-
even know what a woman is. Like,
yeah, you don't even know what it was. And I just, yeah. So, you always have it's just so easy that it's very rare you'll get a question that comes out of like right field. Yeah. Yeah, you can't argue with someone that excludes bad faith. Yeah, the way I look at it, I've got to tell you, because I do, as I said, I do TikTok lives now in Australia. I have actually brought across a lot of young people to become more left wing. I think and the reason is because this is my opinion. When you have someone who's 18, 19, 20 years old, their brain is a lot more malleable. But when I'm talking to someone who's 50, 60, 70, there's no way I'm going to convince that person. That's my experience because they're set in their ways. But the young people, they are. You can definitely change the mind of young people. Yeah, and I've
Yeah.
done it. Yeah, so yeah, because
Hey,
yeah,
I was going to ask
sorry,
you a question,
yeah,
but I didn't
go
want to
ahead.
talk to you.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
What party
What's
are
that?
you in Australia?
I'm in the Labor Party, which is the centre left. So it's like the
Okay.
Democrats.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Okay. So
centre
not
left
the
party.
green. You'd be like the
No, I'm not that far to the left. I consider myself centre left. Yeah. So
okay.
on my TikTok, I have a lot of. It's mostly like most of the people who come onto my TikTok, they're between the ages of 18 and 30. So there's a lot of young people, right? So I get a
Nice.
lot.
Yeah, that's
I get a
the
lot of
Democrat.
it's mostly Gen Z millennials with the occasional Gen X there and that. But that's pretty much as high as it goes, Gen X. And then a lot of the young people are either Green supporters. So they're always like, Joe, come to the Greens and all that sort of stuff. All I'll get, which is more progressive than Labor. And then I'll get some young people who are flirting with the far right, One Nation, which is, as I said before, like MAGA. But they are, I can tell you, they are very gettable, very gettable. Yeah, yeah. The young people, because all you have to do is they don't know much about this person because they're 18, 19. And when you tell them what that person is, a lot of them go, oh, I don't want someone who does that, because a lot of Gen Z people, they've grown up in a multicultural society in Australia. So if you're Gen X or Boomer, you might have grown up in Australia with a lot of white people around you. But if you're Gen Z, you would have grown up because Australia is so incredibly multicultural. Everyone in your group would have been like multicultural. So when I say to them, "Did you know that One Nation said this about this people, these people?" No, I didn't know that. Oh, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be part of that." You know, they're concerned that they won't be able to buy a home when they get older, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Well, and yeah, Kimmy, that's how Joe says Gen Z. Isn't that amazing?
Oh, Gen Z. Yeah. Oh, we say Gen Z
Yeah.
in Australia.
Yes. Bob is right. Most of our young only know Trump.
Yes.
I was having that discussion with somebody today.
Mm,
It's so funny that you said that, Bob, because I actually had a call earlier today with somebody, and we were saying that, there's a certain, like my daughter, she's the upper edge of Gen Z.
mm.
They have never voted in an election that Trump wasn't in. So,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
pretty low, uh, which
Yes.
terrifies me. I think she remembers the before times, you know what I mean? Like, she
Yeah.
remembers Obama very well. Obama was president most of the time she was in high school and all that, so she still remembers
Yeah.
that. But for kids younger than that, they mostly
Mm,
only know very divisive sort of politics we have now with Trump in the
yeah.
mix. So, um, it's kinda scary. But it also
Yeah.
might mean they're like you're saying, if they're malleable, maybe it's
Mm,
something that I heard Xander Schultz today say that, how did he say it again? That, like, it wasn't so much that Trump's message, however, dishonest it was
mm.
bad. His
Yes.
message was, "Oh, we're not gonna have any more wars, and we're gonna, we wanna make things more affordable." Well, technically, those aren't bad messages. We just all knew that
Yeah.
that's not what it's really about, but that's what he was saying to get
Yeah.
people in the door. If they could
Yes.
find a candidate who actually is a decent human being that
Yeah.
really wants to, do those things, well,
Yes.
then
Yeah. 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 And
that's where the
that's
Americans are,
yeah.
right on both
Yeah.
sides.
Yeah, I agree. Like Green Platinum. It's like, why can't you find someone like Green Platinum who doesn't have someone I can see koala emojis. What's with the koala emojis? I love that. I didn't
Yeah,
think that was a thing.
it's new now. You could
Oh
do
my
any kind
God.
of emoji.
That is insane.
Mhm.
Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
God. Koala emojis.
amazing.
How cool is that?
Yep.
My favorite
You could
koalas.
do
Oh my God.
you could do anything. See
Really?
if I can get it. To Yeah, it's like a
Oh,
new
that was
thing.
that Kimmy? Was that you, Kimmy? How do I know who's sending it?
Anyhow,
Yeah. Thanks, Kimmy. Thank you for the
I can't do it
koalas.
on my computer, but I could do it on my phone.
Oh, wow. Look at those koalas. God, that's so cool. I love that. What about kangaroos? Can you do kangaroos? Thank you, Kimmy. Can you do kangaroos? Oh, pigs. Whoa. Okay. Is that a pig?
Hi, Pickles. Hi, Pick. Come
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah,
Come here.
yeah. Um,
My dog just came
oh, oh, can we see her?
in.
He,
I don't know.
sorry.
Pick. Come here.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't. She's
No,
just
no.
kind of roaming around.
Roam
I
around.
can't get
Yeah.
her to hop up.
Pop up. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think, I think that, it would, why can't we have someone like Graham Plattner who's like, doesn't have all the past? Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
oh, there's
yeah,
kangaroos. There's
right.
kangaroos and
Well,
dogs.
and also,
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that's adorable, and also that wasn't because now we know a little bit more about how he was.
Yes.
You had these people that just came in from the outside and picked him, and
Yeah.
it was kind of not. It wasn't really an organic campaign to begin with. If I don't know if you saw that
Yes.
story in the Wall Street Journal. So, like, but yes, but I get what you're saying though. If we could have
Yeah.
somebody who has charisma, who
Yes.
has who seems to understand what real people want, real Americans, like
Yeah.
every day. And when I say real, I don't mean to be like, oh, real patriots. I mean like
Yeah. Yeah.
everyday Americans, majority
Yeah.
of us, right? Like
Yeah.
it would be pretty awesome, you know?
Yeah.
And then move that message forward. I
Yeah,
don't know.
I agree. What do you think about Jackson, the potential replacement? I read a little bit about him. He sounds like quite reasonable, in my opinion. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, I think he sounds quite reasonable. But I don't
Yeah.
know a lot about him. But he doesn't have as big, obviously. A lot of people don't know who he is compared to, say, Graham Plattner. Um, but I don't think he has
Oh,
like
he's
that.
been in politics.
What's that?
He's been in politics for quite some time.
Is he? Would he be
I think
known? Would he be known a lot in Maine? Would do you think a lot of people would know him in Maine? Or
well, I mean, they would at least know him. I think he's from the northern part of the state, and so I
yeah,
would think that they would at least know of him in that area of the state.
in
So at
that area
least
of
he would
states. Yeah,
have it's kinda like in
yeah,
Pennsylvania, very
yeah,
big state. So you might have somebody who's a rep from the southeastern Pennsylvania area that, like, everybody in the Philadelphia area is gonna know, but maybe in
yeah,
Pittsburgh and Erie, know them or Scranton, you know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but if you have one part of the state wrapped up, that's something, right?
yeah. That's
So,
true.
I don't know, we'll see how he does.
Yeah,
What I read about it was interesting. He used to be a Republican years ago,
yeah.
like 20
Oh,
years ago.
okay. Well, that might actually, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like that. It depends on what he says, but like that could maybe not energize the base as much. You know what I mean? In
Right.
Maine, because because I think the thing about Graham Plattner. And I think a lot of what's happening at the moment is people don't really care about labels as much, like Bob just said. They don't really care about democratic socialist or whatever. They just want someone who's going to make their life better. And they're not really as worried about the labels. Because I see a lot of the stuff in America at the moment with people really worried about the DSA, the Democratic Socialists. And
Yes.
look, that's not my politics. I'm centre left. So I'm not that's more to the left of me. But I will say this that in Australia, the DSA wouldn't exist in our centre left party. They would have their own party. Yeah. And that's because we have ranked
Okay.
choice voting.
And they wouldn't
Eh,
either?
Yeah. What's that?
They wouldn't be Greens?
They could be Greens. So the DSA could join the Greens because the Greens get about 10% of the vote in Australia. But the DSA could start its own, like because we have ranked choice voting, it's easier for minor parties to have power in Australia in the sense of they're
Right.
not going to win. They're not going to win the election, but they could pick seats up, and that could give them power in the Senate. Because then the major parties have to negotiate with the smaller parties to get legislation through, which
Yeah.
means that the smaller parties will say, "Sure, I'll help you get that through, but you have to give me this, this, and that." Um, so, but the DSA would probably not. It wouldn't be part of the Labor Party. right?
Okay. Right.
It would be a separate party. But what would happen is the DSA, when you go to vote, you could go DSA 1, Labor Party 2, right? And
Right.
therefore,
Exactly.
so you give,
Well, we
rank choice. You give your preferences to the other party. So if the DSA doesn't win, that goes to the centre left because that's the closest major party to you. On the right, you have One Nation, which is Pauline Hanson. She gives her preferences to the LNP, which is the centre right party. So,
gotcha.
so in our country, therefore, and I think in America, the DSA has nowhere else to go but the Democratic Party because of your
Yes.
system. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. Which just
yeah,
is just completely,
yeah,
in my opinion, broken. I mean,
mm,
there's a lot of huge reforms we need. For one thing, I think there should be more parties. I think we should have ranked choice voting. I think we should have open
mm,
primaries. There's a lot of things there that we could fix. I will say
yeah,
one thing, just to get back to what Bob said about democratic socialists. I wrote a
yeah,
piece for my own Substack this past week. And what
mm,
I said was, look, I'm not a socialist either. I'm like you. I would consider myself like center left.
mm,
But what I will say is I see the political system as kind of like a seesaw, right? And
yeah,
centered is balanced is healthy, right? Well, right now the seesaw is so out of whack,
mm,
with the just pulling all the weight
mm,
that you have to push down on the other side a little bit harder than you normally would or maybe even want to get back to being balanced. And so
yeah,
I understand, even if I'm not, that's not really my politics. I understand where people are coming from with voting that way,
yeah,
because what they see is a seesaw that is so out of whack that
mm,
just to get back to balance requires a lot of pull on that other side.
mm,
So I do understand it. And I do agree that, they're throwing around a lot of labels and trying to compare to communism and everything else,
yeah,
which is just, fear mongering as usual from Trump and the right. So,
yeah,
but that's kind of how I see it. Even though I'm a
yeah,
moderate, say, I do understand why you see people feel desperate,
yeah,
and
yeah,
you know
mm,
our system is just so out of whack right
mm,
now that it feels like it needs
yeah,
something much
yeah,
stronger than just to get back
modern,
to a place.
yeah. I 100% agree, and I think that's the rise of populism all around the world. You see it, is that people just want someone to help their better life. But if you look at Zoran Mandami's base, the people who voted for him, they weren't working class. They were actually college educated people. Um, some of them came from multicultural backgrounds or that sort of stuff, but young people generally, and they were people who went to college, got a college degree, but then they never got a fantastic job afterwards. They took a lower paying job because of, for example, automation, all that stuff. And then they noticed that all their rents have kept going up and up and up. And even though they make okay money, all their money's going towards rent, or stuff like that. So that's kind of the base of the Democratic Party to some degree. So on the populist right, you have no people with no college degrees who are more working blue collar, and on the left you have more college degree people, but they're both of these groups are struggling financially, just on different sides. Yeah, yeah,
Sure. Yeah, yeah, and I agree, and we're also
yeah,
seeing something, a pretty substantial change occur, which is,
mm,
it's been talked about quite a lot now. Is that it used to be, generally speaking, if you got a college degree, you were going
yes,
to have an easier time with the job, and you were going to be paid better. Now
yes,
we're
yeah,
seeing it where you have kids that are college educated, they have a ton of debt, or their parents have a
mm,
ton of debt, which tells me, um,
yeah,
and they're not making big money, and yet
yeah,
their counterparts who went and learned a skilled trade
yeah,
go right into a job, maybe it's a union job, and they're
yeah,
being paid better than the
yes,
kids who went and got a
to
college
go,
education. And so it's a
yeah,
real flip to what it was for probably 40, 50 years in this country. And I
yeah,
kind of feel bad for kids at the tail end of that, because they
yeah,
went into it with a certain expectation. And now,
yeah,
especially with AI coming and all, it's really
yeah,
very tough for them. Kind of sucks. Not that I
exactly.
don't want world trades to do well too. Everyone should. There should be a place
Yeah.
for everyone to do well. But I do kind of, I do kind of feel bad for that group, and so I can understand why they'd be, you know,
Yeah.
voting for something like Mamdani.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's definitely a crossover between, and I'm not saying they're the same, Mandami and like Populist right, but there's definitely a crossover. There's just different. One's
Yeah,
college educated, the other one isn't. One is more white, the other one is more like multicultural. But generally
sure.
speaking, like, Zoran Mandami, I remember when he was campaigning, he deliberately went into Trump areas and he said, "Why did you vote for Trump?" And he did it openly, and that's because he knew that was those people and the people who voted for him, the college-educated people who aren't doing that great. He knew there's a crossover between those people. They're not interested in left wing, right wing. They're interested in like what's going to make my life better. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, and,
Exactly.
and that was the thing about Growing Platinum. And I totally, you and I agree. You were more on it than me. Faster that Growing Platinum was going to come out like have all these things against him. But at the same time, I understand why people were trying to like. They're not because I wrote in my article. I said it's very easy to be worried about someone's character when you're not worried so much about your rents or you know what I mean.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
yeah, it's like a privilege to worry about someone's character to some degree. I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, but if you're like if
No,
your
I
life
hear you.
if your life is really bad and you have someone like Graham Plattner telling you he's going to make your life better, and then you have someone like I don't know George W. Bush who was super nice to his wife. Remember, him and his wife have a very nice relationship, right? Um,
You.
you know what
He's
I
a
mean?
nice
But then you go,
Yes.
okay, but he did start the war in Iraq, and it's like, well, which one do I? You know what I mean? So um,
Yeah.
there is I think I can understand that. I mean, you want both because the way Joe, cool t-shirt. I feel like Kim is
You mean like
interested in
your
my shirt, nipples, but not the conversation. Not the
nibbles,
conversation.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. I love Kim. I love. Is anyone announced for main candidate since Platt dropped out?
Yeah.
Um,
We think it's we
yeah.
were just talking about it. Uh
Yeah.
uh oh my gosh, like his name
Jackson.
escapes me.
Jackson. Is it Jackson or
I think that's
yeah?
right. Troy.
Yeah.
Troy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Tr-
There you go.
yeah.
Yes. So that seems to be I mean, at least what I'm reading, he seems to be the guy.
Yeah. And look, Troy Jackson, that's it. And the other thing is the reason I think you're right about character matters is because if 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 Graham Plattner's saying all this stuff beforehand, Nibbles is MIA. No, she's on the couch. She's on the couch just behind there. She doesn't understand the whole camera thing. And is that if he lies before the election, is he going to lie after the election? Do you know what I mean? So I guess character does matter because that's the same with Trump. Trump told people that he was going to bring jobs back. Remember, and so I guess your character does matter because if you're going to lie about that, then you might lie about everything else. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
I
but
think
yeah,
what I said in my piece is that to me, character is, especially in this polarized time we're in,
yeah,
character maybe is the only thing we should be able to at least agree on. We might not see
yeah,
eye to eye on any individual policy, but we should
yeah,
both agree that, yeah, people who sexually abuse women should be arrested.
yes,
Just,
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
in this case, that's something he had, in common with Trump.
yeah,
But whatever the case is, but again, I mean, hindsight 2020. Now we realize that, but
yeah.
if
We realise that,
that
yeah,
all of that, not all of that came out. And credit to the Democrats,
mm,
the Grant Plattner thing was, in my mind, very similar to the tape coming out, the Access Hollywood tape coming out in 2016.
mm,
And
yeah,
the Democrats, by and large, said, "See ya, we're done.
yeah,
That's it."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
the Republicans did not do that. You had some that said, "Yeah, I can't vote for him now."
yeah,
When
yeah,
that
yeah,
tape came out. But
yeah,
you still had the Republicans essentially throwing their weight behind Trump. So,
yeah.
credit to the Democrats for being more likely to police their own and
Outside, yeah,
actually
yeah.
try to stand up for principles. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And, some people who were big supporters of Graham Platinum, I understand why, they would say something like, what the part I didn't like about the Graham Platinum thing was, it was like, oh, well, you're only going after him because he's not part of the establishment of the Democrats. You know what I mean? There was that,
And
right?
he said
But
that too. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm thinking, well, they went after Andrew Cuomo pretty hard, and he was part of the establishment. Do you know what I
Very
mean?
much
So,
part of the staff. No,
yeah,
that's a
so
good point.
so that doesn't really make sense. They went after they went after Al Franken, like it's not like, I mean, no one went after Andrew Cuomo more than the New York Times. Like they were doing story after story after story. I mean, to the point where he was like, they're trying to crucify me, that this, that. And then you have
Yeah.
Trump defending Cuomo. You have Trump, do you remember
Right.
that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Strange
Actually,
bedfellows, right?
Trump defended Graham Platinum. Did you hear that?
No, I actually did not.
So Trump said a couple of weeks ago, so he was acting like he didn't know much about it. He always pretends like it's all vague. He was like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I heard about Graham Plattner and I heard about those fake accusations. I heard they were fake accusations. So
How did
when
I miss that?
Yeah. So
That
whenever there's an accusation of sexual assault, Trump doesn't matter whether it's it could
downplays it.
it could be an actual communist. An actual communist could be accused of sexual assault, and Trump would come out and go, "I don't like his politics, but I heard that these accusations against Stalin were were absolutely were
Yeah, no,
BS, were BS." Yeah.
you're right on that. Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
very telling.
Yeah. So
Very
he loves to cross the aisle when it comes to sexual harassment. Sexual assault across the aisle. And that also goes into Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate was arrested with his brother Tristan in Miami for rape in the UK. However,
right.
um,
Extradited,
however,
right?
yes, extradited. Not yet. They're trying to fight the extradition. However, Barron Trump is a massive fan of the Trump of the kids, and which is kind of sweet because Trump's Barron's dad was also like sex traffickers as well. It's kind of like a
Yeah.
family thing.
Ones
It's
of
a
the
family thing.
family, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice, like
yeah.
father, like son.
Trump loved Epstein, sex trafficker. Barron likes, the Tate brothers
Nice
also.
that they share
It's a
nice that they
yeah.
can share that, yeah,
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree when it comes to sex trafficking.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he's basically Andrew Tate came out and said, "I'm very close to Barron." This is what he said just after he'd been arrested, and he said, "I'm working with the Trump administration to have us released." It's incredible. Like they love anybody. Yeah, yeah, because it's not actually about Plattner, it's about himself, Trump, any reference close to rape or
Yep,
sexual assault, and Trump's
yep.
triggered. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's all projection, Sandra. I agree with you.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because he thinks he's been falsely accused, so then he does this whole thing that everyone is falsely accused.
well,
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
past, in the past, he had defended Bill Clinton about
Yes, Bill Clinton. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
Monica Lewinsky scandal years ago, which seems positively
yeah.
quaint by today's
Yes.
standards.
Yeah.
But yes, he always comes out and defends anyone who has any kind of act, maybe except Joe Biden. Joe Biden
No,
had a weird accusation from a strange woman, and
yeah.
I
In the
don't think he
90s. Yeah.
Biden,
No,
but
no, he never yeah, he never he
I mean,
yeah,
like he's just visceral hatred for Biden, Obama and
yeah.
Biden. Really seems like to me. Yeah.
Well, Obama never had an accusation against him, which is pretty amazing
Oh no,
considering,
I didn't
you know.
even know why that.
Oh, no, that's what I
Absolutely
mean.
not.
The
Yeah,
only
yeah.
accusation against Obama, and it wasn't really an accusation, it was just BS, was some guy who thinks that he had a gay relationship with him for a day. It's a
Yeah.
way to make a rape look yeah. I think his name is Larry Sinclair, and
Yeah,
and
right.
he was like a drug guy. He was on meth, and he said he had a night of passion with Obama in Chicago. I know. But
Oh my god, yeah, it was like National Enquirer stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but then
yeah.
Tucker Carlson about a year ago interviewed the guy, Remember? Tucker Carlson interviewed him about a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
he's
still
got
making him relevant.
the guy's got no teeth. He's still he's been in jail for fraud. He's been in jail for fraud like 5 times. You know, he was on meth and all that sort of stuff. Don't forget the tan suit. Yeah. Well,
Oh, how
yeah.
could we forget? Right? A tan suit.
This
Heaven
guy,
forbid.
I think Larry Sinclair wishes he'd spend a night with Obama.
Yeah.
So-
I'm thinking that's what this is, that this is all kind of tied up in sort of wishful
yeah,
thinking.
wishful
And
thinking.
maybe
You know,
he liked the tan suit. I don't know. Maybe that was his
he
thinking.
does
Or
look
maybe,
he does look good in that tan suit. He does look good in that tan suit. I have to say, yeah, very good, very
yeah,
good in the tan suit.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
a good looking dude.
He's a very good
Obama.
looking guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm straight, but I find him extremely handsome. Yeah, yeah. I
He's
would,
very, very attractive in a lot of
if
ways.
I had a list of guys that I could be with,
And
Obama would be right at the top. If I had a list of gay relationships I wanted to have, Obama would be Obama up there. And then Johnny Depp when he was
I
younger.
love how confident you are in your manhood that you could say that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And Johnny Depp would be
Okay.
two. Really?
Who would be
In a s-
two? Johnny Depp,
yeah.
would you say?
When he was younger.
Okay.
When he was younger. Like a younger Johnny Depp, I would say. A younger Johnny Depp. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those
I
two.
agree with you there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he has
Off the
off the
chart.
charts.
I
Yeah,
agree.
he does.
I agree.
Yeah, he
He
does.
is.
Off the
And then
charts.
the other night we were watching something, and then at the end it said executive produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. And I'm like, is there anything that this guy can't do? I'm
Oh
like,
my God. Really? He produced that. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was a movie or a series, and I was like, wow, that's
Mm.
pretty impressive. They're pretty neat people.
Yeah,
I
I
think
know.
Michelle should.
Should run.
I think she'd be awesome.
I think she would win probably, but I think she don't. I don't actually. From what I've read, I don't think she was a big fan of Obama being president. I don't think she really liked it a
Yeah,
lot.
exactly.
So
She's probably
I
ready
don't
to
think
get the hell out.
I don't think she would do it herself. But yeah,
I agree,
yeah,
but she'd be
right.
good.
Yeah. Oh, she'd be awesome.
Highly intelligent. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
They're so
yeah.
talented in so many ways. I mean, I don't mean to like be a fangirl here, but it really is true.
Yeah,
Really,
they are
like, the fact that we went from them in the White House
to
to
Trump.
Trump and
Yeah.
Melania is just very depressing. Ah, I see that Naida has joined the chat.
Can I bring her in?
Naida. So Naida, we wanted to bring Naida in for the last part of our discussion here. For those of you who don't know Naida, there
Yeah.
she is. She is from Disability Community for Democracy. And she was going to join us for a little while tonight. So I don't know. Have you sent?
Yep, I've got it here. I can bring her in now if you like. Should I bring her in? Is she okay to
let's
come
do
in?
it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's fine with me.
there we go. I'm bringing her in now.
All right, so she's joining in a minute.
This is like a 3-way conversation. I've never done this before.
I know this will be new
I
for us,
wonder-
but maybe
I wonder
we'll do more in the future.
Yeah, I wonder what the screen's going to look like. Am I going to be up there? It's going to be like Brady Bunch. Remember the Brady Bunch photo? Like,
Of course,
the
I
bunch?
forget. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be kind of broken up.
Like-
We'll see.
Yeah.
So we're just waiting.
Waiting for use the disability community invite.
Use the disability community. Naida, do you mean to send the invite to this disability community instead?
Oh,
I think maybe that's what she means. In other words, if you invite not her personal account, but the disability community account.
yes. Oh, okay. That one there. Let me try
So
that.
try that one instead. We'll get you here, Naida.
Invite to join. Let me try that one. I'll do the other one.
Good. Perfect. So this should work now. That's good because it'll alert her whole organization that way.
Oh, that's right. Oh, wow. Oh, hello.
Hi.
There she is. Hey, Naida.
Hi, Naida. Nice to meet you.
Hi. I'm sorry. I know I was supposed to come on like almost 20 minutes ago, but I
No, you're good.
had a meeting.
You
and
have
I was
that's
listening-
absolutely okay.
I was listening to some of your conversation about World Cup and Gen X, especially on the younger side. We played a lot of soccer, a lot of youth soccer and travel team soccer. And
Wow.
soccer. Yes,
Yeah.
I and intramural soccer. I was a soccer player until my coach said no more because I would do some things that could mess up my legs. So
Oh,
Wow.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you played soccer in your local community? Yeah, yeah. Wow. What position?
Yeah, no, it's big with kids here. Very big.
Yeah,
I pretty much played every position except
every
goal.
position
Except for
except for
goal.
goalie. Were you more of a striker or more defense? You more stri
Striker.
You're more
More
of a striker?
striker because I was
Wow.
fast. I was fast.
Yeah, right. Wow, wow.
And I
Well,
had
did you get many
to
goals? Did you score many goals?
uh I was I did a lot of assist. Like
Oh,
I was
assist.
like
Oh, yeah. So you set up goals for other people.
yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
That
Wow.
says something about you, Naida. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
So
That means you're a generous person, a generous
yeah.
player.
You
well
could have scored the goal, but you wanted to give the glory to someone else. That's incredible.
well,
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes it just made more sense because they were in a better
yeah.
position
Oh,
to
okay.
score.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Soccer is strategic. Soccer in
Yes.
a lot of ways is like hockey as
Mm,
well, because the positions are
Yes.
the they're not called the exact same thing, but I mean, if
mm.
you look at a
But
soccer
it's similar.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Do
So
you Yeah.
go ahead, Joe.
Oh, do you follow a soccer team in Europe or
I haven't really been following soccer as of late because
Mm,
I haven't followed any sports this summer. Nothing.
yes.
I usually
Nothing, yeah.
follow I usually follow Tour de France stuff because my
Oh,
sisters are like
I also watch
Ah,
Tour de France. I also watch Tour de France. Yeah, yeah.
I that
Unfortunately
childhood.
unfortunately, at the moment, it's a bit boring because it's the same guy keeps winning every year. Pogacar. Oh, yeah, Pogacar. Yeah, he wins every year. He's very good, but it's like Lance Armstrong when he was winning like 5 in a row,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
what I was gonna say, right.
Yeah. They actually, to be honest, they
That's
tested him.
sweet.
They tested this guy's winning so much. They tested him at 2 o'clock in the morning the other day because they're like there's something might be going on. They did like a drug test on him at 2
Oh,
a.m.
like a
Yeah,
surprise drug test, you mean? Ah,
mm.
gotcha.
Which
Okay.
is very unusual because you're waking someone up and they've got to get up the next day to do a like a course, so that can really interrupt their sleep. So there was a lot of
Right.
controversy about it. It's like, why are you waking him up at 2? That's not fair. Everyone else gets to sleep in. But I've got to be honest, I've been suspicious. I've been suspicious of his win. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah,
so I'm glad that you invited me on. I
yes,
love watching the two of you like go back
mm,
and forth.
yeah.
I actually my old pastors were from down under as
Oh,
some of my friends. Yes.
yeah. Wow.
That's cool.
So yeah,
That's neat to have that connection.
Wow.
so
Wow.
I'm
Do you know whereabouts in Australia they're from? Or not? No.
town something.
Oh, Townsville?
Yeah.
Townsville?
Mhm.
Oh, I know yeah, Townsville's like a big town in the same state that I am, Queensland. Yeah, okay. It's more of a rural area, not a city. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So that was that was interesting and
Cool.
so some of the sayings that you say, I'm like, "Oh, I know what that means."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the jokes.
Gen Z.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we
So
say Gen
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, right, like Zed. Like, that's
yeah,
amazing
yeah,
to me. Like, I just think that
yeah,
sounds cool.
yeah.
Um, but
so
Naina, we wanted you to tell us, I mean, a little
Mm,
bit
mm.
about what you're doing, over there with, disability community and specifically with the, Say No to Crip Crow, campaign.
oh, so what do you want to? I mean, I can talk about that, but I want to. Can I just like start off with some fun things first
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I
yeah,
do want
Keep
to talk
going.
about. I want to do that first. So
yeah.
I did a live today, with Beth Cruz, and So. from Sick of This Shit publications, and so they do this live would talk about like a time for life, and it talks about what brings you joy. And this new project's happening starting in August, starting to like flesh it out a little bit. We're going to do something called a disability renaissance. So we're going to focus on do something similar to the Harlem Renaissance, but we're laying the groundwork for it because not everybody wants to engage in like calling their members of Congress, and they're not really like, they don't want to watch live streams all the time and stuff like that. People want to do more creative outlets. They're interested in like music and culture. And I mean, I do stuff on that. I mean, Melissa's watched some of the more cultural stuff and twice a month I do on Fridays. I mean, I do talk a little bit about politics, but it's mainly asking people about their art or their writing or whatever, whatever they're doing. Sometimes it's their job. Because we're more than just a community that needs help. And so that's going to be the project. Thank you, Kimmy.
Thanks, Kimmy.
And so somebody was nice enough, literally was like, brought the domain name for me. And I am super, I was like, because I wasn't even thinking about a website yet, because I'm like, I have no idea fleshed out. But that's why I was late, because we have a subsidiary nonprofit called Disability Supporters, which does more of the educational piece. I was like talking to them about how do we want to do this in terms of like the different types of ideas. So more will be revealed. His name is Jason. And more will be revealed. I mean, that's going to be, that's going to be a new project. And it's really just to get people engaged, that they can't remove us from the community, right? Like this is how I think about it. And Melissa and I have had long conversations about history in this country, in the United States specifically. Besides the indigenous people, and this has happened in every country Europe has touched, including yours, Joe.
Australia.
The usually if you bring in other people, they're usually enslaved. I know Australia, they didn't have slavery like we did in the Western Hemisphere.
That's right.
But but that's where the similarities, that's where the differences end. And so with all the oppression, like, you learn from other oppressed groups what works. So if Black folks who trace the ancestry to enslavement in the United States specifically built their communities from nothing, then the disability community can do the same thing, right? We can like have this resurgence because we're dealing with the backlash right now. We've been in the community, for in schools and stuff since like slowly since the 1970s, and closing petitions, and now there's this backlash of like the current occupant. I don't call him the president or whatever. He doesn't deserve that title. He's the current occupant, and his co-conspirators are eugenicists. And eugenics is a racist pseudo-science, which is based on white supremacy. And so having a disability renaissance on par with the Harlem Renaissance over a period of years will see that people with disabilities can actually need to be in the community. Our stories aren't told, especially, I don't know in other parts of the world, but in the US, it's either like charity model mainly, or inspiration porn, which is terrible.
Have
Go ahead.
you heard of the NDIS in Australia?
I actually got somebody from Australia who told me about it, but I don't know too much about it other than like the little bit.
It's been around for about 5 or 6 years. It's the National Disability Program run by the government, and it costs billions of dollars. And it's been a big program here in Australia. It's kind of newish, so they're trying to change a little bit here and there. But it's basically pays carers and helpers to help people with disabilities. And it's been a big game changer in Australia in terms of how the people with disabilities are treated with a lot more respect and stuff like that. I would probably, if you got time, put in NDIS and you'll see it. Yeah, it's. I know people with disabilities, and they said their lives have been changed by it. Because the government's really putting. We're talking. This isn't like, how sometimes governments do these little things. They tweak it here and there. It doesn't really make. It's like more of a, it's not really, it's quite shallow. This is like a really big program. Like, you have Medicare, you have like the military, and now you have NDIS. It's like a very big program for people with disabilities. So yeah. But yeah, at the moment there's going through some changes because there was a little bit of, like with anything really big, there's a little bit of people trying to take advantage of it to make money. But overall, they're still keeping the program. Yeah, it's a pretty big positive thing here, and both sides of politics agree with it. Obviously, the left wants it to be better funded, and the right wants to, like, the usual thing. But the good thing is that neither side of politics wants to get rid of it. And I think when you have something really big, it has to be bipartisan, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
something we've talked about a lot, Naida.
yes, and this is the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, I'm gonna put the Say No to Crypto campaign in the
Mm,
chat.
mm.
What's going on is, like, to build on that, and I know what carers are. We call them caregivers and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
personal care assistants, stuff like that.
Mm.
Same term. I have friends who live in the UK, so that's the terminology they also use
Yes.
over there as well, which makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so for us, meaning Disability Community for Democracy, we're partnering with Sick District Publications on Say No to Quid Pro specifically.
Mm,
And we are saying the Olmsted
mm.
decision, which I'm going to explain like it word for word, that the
Yeah.
state can't keep somebody with a disability segregated.
Mm,
And if the doctor says they're fine
mm.
and the person wants to leave, without any, like, good cause, right? Like, if the
Yeah.
state thinks they really are a danger or something like that, that's different, but they gotta prove it. They can't say, "W we can't release a person into the community, we don't have the money to do that." That was Georgia's argument, um, at the sup since from 1995 to 1999 when the decision was finalized. Now, Olmsted, and this is where sometimes Supreme Court decisions get interpreted in a broader brush. So we have something in the United States called the IDA, which is basically students with disabilities have a right to an equal education. And they have a clause in there that says they need to be placed in the least restrictive environment. However, in public schools prior to 1999,
Mm.
it was hit or miss, and there was not an enforcement mechanism to do anything about it. So, if your kid had emotional problems,
Mm.
they would segregate them out and keep them in special classrooms unnecessarily instead of working with them.
Yeah.
So, Olmsted gave gave IDA for K through 12
Mm.
enforcement
Mm.
mechanism. They can say, well, Olmsted says, and this law says, so what are you doing? So you can't send this kid to an institution when they could be educated in the community and you need to get them community based services.
Mm.
Problem is that there wasn't any money. There has never been enough money. Like Joe, you talked about the government funding that.
Yeah.
They closed these institutions over a period of time starting in the '70s and, like,
Mm,
hard did a hard body, like, Ronald Reagan, like, said,
mm,
"Nope." And because people's constitutional rights were being violated in these
mm,
institutions, so they're like, "No, these institutions need to be closed." But they
mm,
didn't put the money in the community, and so they're now saying that states and
mm,
territories, you don't have to let them out. That's not what the Supreme Court meant. And now they're playing these it's a
yeah.
circular, like, memo.
Mm,
And Joe, I have a video from my friend Adriana. We did a
mm,
whole conversation. She's an attorney, and and her focus was children, and
yeah.
they used Olmsted to fight for community-based services to keep
Mm,
children in the least segregated environment so they can go to school.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's
Yeah.
the thing, like, they don't want people with disabilities in this eugenics regime.
Mm,
They don't wanna see us,
mm,
right? They think we're ugly.
mm, yeah.
That's and we had ugly laws on the books from the 1860s until 1974.
Yeah.
Melissa, you were 2 years you were
Yeah.
2
Yeah.
years
I was.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was 2 years old, so, I mean, we're not talking like I mean, well, I am
Yeah.
old, but we're not talking about, like,
Yeah.
ancient history here.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so and the other
Wow.
thing, Joe, that's a little bit
Mm,
scary about this is because we
mm,
know that this administration is very willing to classify various things as disabilities. You know, we already know there's a bill proposed in Congress to call
yeah.
Trump derangement syndrome an actual
Yeah.
mental illness. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people could end up
Yeah.
falling under the
Yeah.
disability kind of framework.
Yes.
And Stephen Miller, that's exactly. And
Yeah.
um that's exactly who's behind the memo, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is Stephen Miller, yeah, which is no shock, right? But
Yeah.
what's scary is that could then be applied so broadly that it could impact not just the disability community as it currently
Mm,
exists, but any
mm,
group that they decide to label as disabled
yeah.
mentally, you know. So it's very frightening that you could have your rights taken away like that, rolled
Yeah.
back. Um,
That's
it,
crazy. Trump derangement syndrome. Oh my god.
Yeah, they
Like,
they actually put a bill on they put a bill
yeah,
on the floor that have Trump derangement syndrome.
yeah.
I'd
See,
I'd be in big trouble. I'd be never that I would be in massive trouble if that came in. If I came to America, yeah, there's probably like a character test for people like other countries to come to America
Yes,
where yeah,
they
where if you have Trump TDS, you're not allowed into the country. Yeah.
they will
yep.
send you home and,
Yeah.
maybe
Yes.
torture you with some ice detention to try to teach you a lesson.
Constitution. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right?
I would
They'll
say
they'll make they'll make me watch Donald Trump at a rally for 3 hours before I go. That would be torture watching him in a rally for 3 hours. Yeah. Wow, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I think for
Yeah.
me, this is
mm,
the scary part because the executive director of my city's disability commission
yeah,
used to work for the federal government
mm,
on Olmsted stuff.
mm.
And she said that it will range from everything from autism, ADHD to people who are trans.
Wow.
And we've
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
about because I
Mhm.
sit on my city's disability commission advisory
mm,
board and the secretary, and we talked a lot about how the federal government is not a partner and we
yeah,
need to like do something about it.
mm,
And so we need to stand up. We need to get Olmsted codified into federal law. We cannot make we didn't make the mistake with marriage equality. Marriage equality
yeah,
is codified into law. So if
mm,
the Supreme Court decides to overturn its precedent, oh well,
mm,
because it's codified, right? And that's
yeah,
part of the reason
Right.
why they didn't, because
yeah,
the decision was codified.
yeah,
With Roe, which is right to privacy. That was
yeah,
why people were able to get abortion care all
Yeah.
50 states. We don't have the right to privacy anymore. Roe
Mm.
gave us that in every aspect. Any right to privacy case
Mm.
after Roe was settled,
Yeah.
Roe was used as a basis for right to privacy for anything.
For privacy.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so we don't have that now, and so
Mhm.
we we don't have Roe. Roe has been
Mm.
overturned.
Mm.
Homestead, they're trying to tee this up to go to the Supreme Court, so they will
Yeah.
overturn Olmstead
Mm.
at a bare minimum, and maybe the ADA,
Yeah.
because they don't want us in the community, and that's why I keep emphasizing they think we're ugly. People with
Mm.
disabilities are ugly. I'm not
Mm.
saying this to be hyperbolic. I'm saying this
Mm.
is just the reality of what
Yeah.
is. And so what do? I just
Yeah.
put in the chat, I'm gonna keep putting it in the chat, the Say No to Crip Crow campaign. You need to call your members of Congress every single day. At the bottom below the scripts are a sign up form. You have to, like our friends overseas can share it with their friends in the
Yeah.
US. That would be the
Yeah.
best bet.
Yeah, that would
Yes.
be
But
awesome.
but
I'll,
we but we need
I'll do that. Yeah.
we need everyone in America who believes in
Mm.
humanity, is not for debate, not up for debate, to
Mm.
call. Because even if
Mm.
you don't care about disabled people in your life,
Mm.
there's a good chance as you age, you're gonna come up with some sort of access need that you're gonna need, like
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
temporarily or permanently. And I want people to understand how dangerous this
Mm.
is. And the other thing is not just the disability community, it's your
Yeah.
seniors too. Like
Yeah.
like we're
Absolutely.
Yeah.
we we are going just to let respond to show. We are getting ready to get people to sign up to do
Mm.
lobby day in August. August in August. It's gonna be it's like the week of the 25th because because there's an anniversary on the
Mm.
25th of ADAPT. That's one of our disability rights orgs in the United States that has that used to block buses because buses weren't accessible.
Mm.
And then the father of the ADA, uh his birthday
Mm.
is at the end of August. So during that week, we're going to have people go to their members of Congress's office.
Mm.
District offices are open to the public.
Yeah.
They can't say like Capitol Hill's a little different,
Mm.
but district
Yeah.
offices are open to the public. So you can go in there.
Right.
Mm.
There isn't
And
like
we
this.
all have access to the,
So
we we can't all travel to DC, but we all have access to the district offices.
exactly. And you wanna have a group of people, we're trying to organize small groups of people, no more than 10, 'cause that's, like, effective, and we'll have somebody with a script and training and documenting how it went
Mm.
and all of that. Um, and I do think it's important that we have people tell their stories and
Mm.
say how this is gonna impact them or somebody they love, or even if it's not, how they can say, "This is just wrong."
Mm.
Homestead needs to be codified. It should have been codified a long time ago. We've updated the ADA and we need to stop. Like, I know, like, there are people with disabilities who have been are afraid if we, open it up. Um, if we open it up, then the Republicans are going to do their shenanigans.
Mm.
W- We can't be afraid, right? That's what they want.
Mm.
Melissa and I are politically like we are on the
Yeah.
same vein politically, and we know
Aligned, yeah.
Mm.
we know how conservatives work because
Mm.
we've been in those spaces.
Mm.
They use fear of
Yeah.
difference to activate the most primal sections of people's brains,
Yeah.
and we have to use empathy to activate their hearts so they
Yeah.
do things. I mean, that's basically what it is. I mean, when
Yeah.
the ADA was updated in 2008 because of a Supreme Court decision, it
Mm.
passed unanimously
Mm.
on, like, the first time. I mean, it was almost unanimous, but it wasn't in 1990. It was unanimous in '08.
Yeah.
And so think about that. What changed over those
Mm.
18 years? People
Mm.
started people with disabilities in their communities. People are
Exactly.
seeing children more integrated. They're having less pullouts. They're not having unnecessary pullouts where kids are being pulled out for resource room every day when they don't need it. They only need it
Mm.
you know, extended time and additional supports for taking exams and stuff. So they're now seeing people with disabilities in society.
Mm.
I have friends of mine who are in wheelchairs that actually work jobs, right?
Yeah.
That work
Yeah.
jobs
Absolutely.
and,
Y
and don't have caregivers except when they
Yeah.
really have to, like, travel far. They can, like, do things for
Mm.
themselves at home, and so why why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Again, I know it sound like a broken record, but
Mm.
these people are eugenicists.
Yeah.
This is a US problem that we
Yeah.
trans I'm gonna actually do the history lesson. It was a
Yeah.
European problem that got transported to everywhere the Europeans colonized in this,
Mm.
Western Hemisphere specifically.
Yeah.
But the US and Canada.
Mm.
Canada has done some things too, but it was mainly a US thing. They learned from us in terms of, racism and how we
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they thought some of our things around the one drop rule, if you're black and you look white and you're mostly white, it's like they're like
Mm.
the Nazis thought some of the things that we were doing was absolutely, like, does not even make any sense. Like, we
Yeah.
need many quote unquote people who are have and like, we need to separate people, so they that's why in Germany,
Mm.
why the, like, communities were why the way they did things was different.
Yeah.
They industrialize our racism and ableism and system
Mm.
in Germany.
Yes.
And then
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
that transported not only back to the United States, but to South Africa.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
South Africa is all messed up because they took what they did in Germany and they
Mm.
used the same type of system where they
Yeah.
had black and colored, like, this they were not the same, and black folks and colored folks can even intermarry with each other.
Mm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Naida, this ties all back to Joe earlier in our conversation when we were talking about how racism just finds different forms to take. You know,
Yeah.
it just somehow remains there, unfortunately, but it just finds new ways to
Mm.
evolve or devolve as it were.
Yeah. It is like the right is very good at going at people's basic instincts, you know what I mean? Like the worst parts of people's instincts, like they do it with immigration as well. You know, yeah, it happens in Australia as well. If we have immigrants coming from the United Kingdom, nobody cares. But if we have immigrants coming from Africa, suddenly it's a problem. So yeah, and they just go on our instincts.
What
Yeah.
so let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna
Mm.
ask the question. So I, as a person of color who is black
Mm.
and Latina,
Yeah.
'cause I'm from the United States,
Mm.
would they tell me to go home like in your country, Joe, or would they be fine with
Not I mean, do you mean the government or just the people
just
in
the
general?
people? The people.
No, Australia's pretty open-minded. No, the type of racism in Australia is probably similar to some racism in America. I guess it depends where you are. They don't think they're racist. Like if you spoke to the average person, they'd go, "Oh no, 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 no. I love people from India. I love people from like that. I love people. I have friends. I have family." Like it's not that type of racism. It's more like they will try to use things like the numbers are too high. it's changing. It's a cultural thing. It's not an ethnicity. It's not a color thing. It's a cultural thing. The countries where they're coming from, they have a different culture to us. So they frame it in that way, not in terms of skin color. So if you came here, you wouldn't have any problems because it's more underground, and it's more like they like to like frame it as cultural, and I think they do that in America as well. It's like, oh no, it's just it's that Muslims, it's their culture. We don't care they're from the Middle East. It's just the culture. Yeah.
Right, and I
Yeah.
think that with people from the Middle East, that's true, but with
Mm.
Latinos, it's
Yes.
deeper because of the fact bye, Kimmy, because of the fact that
Thank you.
because we took territory from Mexico during the
Yes.
during the Mexican War,
Yeah.
and we've taken territory from Spain during the Spanish American War, so
Mhm.
they got a bunch of non-white people in the United
Yes.
States that they didn't really want, but they couldn't really do anything about it.
Counter. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's very interesting, and you are right, it also depends on where, 'cause I live in the I live in the Northeast. I live in
Mhm.
Massachusetts,
Yeah.
so most Black people in Massachusetts are immigrants, or they're
Yeah.
children of immigrants or grandchildren of immigrants. They don't even
Yeah.
if they do trace their ancestry to enslavement, it's from the
Mm.
Caribbean. It's not from
Yeah.
the South,
Yeah.
which makes
Yes.
a difference in terms of how you view culture in
Yeah. Yeah.
in the United States, and we have the same issue here with Black people who are descendants of slaves in this country. They want Black people who aren't to go back home. They're like, "You
Yeah.
bring
Right.
culture." So it's
Yeah.
not it's
Mm.
not just the white versus Black thing, it's also,
No.
"You're an immigrant, you don't
Yes.
belong here, you need to leave."
And I will
So
say this, because you have an American accent, you will probably be even more accepted than if you came from Africa because Australians like Americans because it's like, oh, it's America. So you would actually be like, oh, cool, you're from the States. The people, you would actually be probably extra liked because you have an American accent. But if you came from Sudan, it would be, you know what I mean? So there's that as
right.
well, you
Oh,
know?
that's true
Yeah,
because
yeah,
my brother, he was in the military, and he said he told me that it
mm,
isn't always about
yeah,
color of skin, like,
yeah,
it's also where you're from. So
yes,
he got treated like how white people were treated like
yeah,
Americans in countries where they didn't like foreigners or was changing
yeah,
the culture, because 'cause they're like
yeah,
the reality is like, if I went to Australia and I was like, "I wanna stay there," right? Because I'm American, I have American
yeah,
accent, our
yeah,
cultures are closer,
yes,
like, we're more aligned, I would fit in better than somebody
yes.
from the countries that they're, quote, unquote, "complaining about."
Yeah, I mean, look, we have in Australia, we have like Australian basketball teams. Not they're not very good at all, but we will try to sometimes get some of the American basketball. They'll come. The ones who don't do that well will come to Australia, but they're treated like kings over here. Like they treat, it's like, oh my god, an American black, it's like almost like
Yeah.
a fetish. There's almost like a fetish thing about it as well, and the same in Japan. I've noticed it in Japan as well. Japan's like that. Oh my God, you're like white or, you're, black. But if they see someone who's Muslim, they're like, oh, so it is
Right.
it is cult. It's not always skin color. Culture does play a part, I think. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
also an interesting I know I'm diverting a little bit, but this is
Mm,
interesting. So during World War II, when the US government tried to transport Jim Crow
mm,
military to businesses, and they were trying to segregate businesses to keep Black troops out,
yeah.
you a lot of people don't know this, but the Australians were like, We're serving everybody.
Mm,
We don't do that here. This is not
yeah.
your country.
Mm,
Go away." And there were
yeah.
fights. There would be, like, the Australian troops would fight with the US troops over, the attitudes of specifically white US troops.
Yeah.
Um,
Right. Yeah.
and so, I mean, I actually Melissa probably appreciates my history stuff a lot more than a lot of other people. But
Yeah.
I do think it's important, like, all of this stuff wraps around, right? Like,
Yeah.
think about it. World War II happened.
Mm.
We updated our Rehabilitation Act after World War
Yeah.
II. Then we
Yeah.
and people with disabilities were starting to be seen more and more,
Mm. Yeah.
slowly, but more and more. Then in 1973, we updated it again due
Mm.
to Vietnam,
Mm.
right? And there were Vietnam veterans and people with disabilities who were not veterans,
Mm.
who mainly had, like, acquired disabilities due to polio and other
Yes.
childhood diseases where they didn't have vaccines. Like, that's, like, kinda sorta the baby boomer, like, depending on your
Mm.
birth year, you were in danger of getting these childhood diseases or not.
Yeah.
Like, my mom and my stepfather are on the younger side, so they had
Yeah.
vaccines by the time they were born.
Yeah.
And so the older boomers, ones born in, like, the '40s,
Mm.
um, in the late '40s, early 1950s, a lot of them got these childhood diseases.
Mm.
And so these people were protest, and then the 504 protest sit-ins,
Yeah.
and this happened under a Democratic administration
Mm.
because they wouldn't sign the regulations. They
Yeah.
didn't want to. And then even under Ronald Reagan, in 1982, they updated the Voting Rights Act to include more access to people with disabilities. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and so that was because of the Supreme Court decision on how they interpreted it. They
Yeah.
interpreted it a certain way, and they needed to fix it. And
Mm.
so there's always been expansion of rights for groups, even if it's just, like, one thing. And now
Yeah.
they're trying to regress us back
Mm.
to, um to ugly law days, eight
Yeah.
1860s. Um,
Yeah.
no thanks.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
No thanks. So
Mm.
I just wanna just say these things to
Mm.
people because I need people to understand
Mm.
that if you don't have a disability, they're gonna do this to
Yeah.
your to your seniors, and seniors are
Mm.
and then it's not getting covered enough, but seniors
Mm.
are also concerned about the onset decision, and I am
Mm.
gonna probably, at some point, reach out to some senior orgs,
Mm.
see if we can, like, join forces.
Mm. Yeah,
And
because also seniors, they vote for the Republican Party at quite high levels, so that would be quite a strategic way to get a lot of right-wing people into your group. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
for 2024, actually, it's interesting.
mm.
There was more of a 50-50 vote because,
Wow,
like,
okay. Yeah, because
some of them
Joe Biden was older. Yeah, yeah,
you have,
yeah.
like, when they voted that, like,
Mm.
they were like, "Both these people have lost their mind," in terms of
Yeah.
they, like, see the y and I think
Mm.
it's because over 65, like, you had some people who were over 65 who were younger baby boomers who are like,
Mm.
"No way, like, what's wrong with this man?" So it was more
Yeah,
split in
yeah.
terms of it's closer 50-50, but it was
Mm.
Gen X, especially Gen X, like,
Mm.
over 50, I don't know they were upset, so they
Mm.
voted overwhelmingly,
Mm.
especially if they were white and not
Yeah.
college educated.
The
Isn't
same
it
thing happened. The same thing we have with the rise of the far right in Australia, and the same demographic that you just said is voting for this far right wing group, which is Gen X, white, working class. That seems to be the yeah,
and it's of a certain age, though, because, like, the younger
yeah,
Gen Xers, because I
yes,
wasn't 50 during the
mm,
2024 election, if you do it by age,
yeah,
you still have Gen Xers who were under 50,
older, mm,
during that election. It was more of an even split between the
yes,
40 to 49 because we're like, we're not signing up for this, like, some of us
mm,
had common sense, but again,
mm,
it's that white and
yes,
working class, and these are the people who this is what hurts my heart,
Mm,
they rely on services more than
mm,
any other group, right? They
mm,
rely on SNAP at higher rates, which is food stamps,
mm.
Medicaid, public assistance,
Rural
all
hospitals.
hospitals,
Hospitals, yeah, yeah,
everything that they need. They also rely on the services for their disabled children at higher rates in public schools than white people who have a college education, or even Black folks who, like,
yeah.
people, like Black people, even if they don't have a college education, because Black people in the United States will take care of their own, right?
Mm,
They will,
yeah,
like, make sure that they get the access to resources, even if it's outside of the public school system. It doesn't happen in the same way for white
mm,
people who are working class.
mm,
So there is
yeah,
not it's like so that's why this campaign is so important. That's why it's so important for everyone needs to call their US
mm,
senators and their US House rep to put pressure on them to codify this. This is
yeah,
why this
Mhm.
is why having a disability renaissance that I talked about earlier is important,
yeah,
because they need to see that we're not going anywhere and we actually can do things outside of this is not, and I wanna make this clear. There are
mm,
people with disabilities who can't work and who need the safety net, and
mm,
that's I don't have a problem with that. I have
yeah,
0 problem with that. Everybody should get the care that they need,
mm,
but there's this misconception that everybody who has a disability that you see on the street relies
yes,
on the safety net equally, and that's
mm.
not true. The
Oh, yeah, yeah,
problem in the United States, why more people with disabilities don't work, is because jobs aren't accessible. It's not
mm,
that they
Yeah.
can't. Some of these people can work, and
mm,
a lot of them would be able to get Medicaid, for people with disabilities with the buy-in,
mm,
but the jobs aren't accessible. So if your
right,
job's
yeah,
not accessible
mm,
and you can't work remotely,
mm,
or your disability's dynamic. So that's why. I mean, I can work,
Mhm.
like, and I can even work outside of the home. Is it preferable for me to work outside of the home? No, it's not. Especially in
mm,
the winter months when I hurt more and I
yeah,
need my mobility devices more. So
mm.
that's all I have to say about it. I talked a lot. Do you have any more questions, Joe?
No, I think I get what you're saying. I think it's very interesting to hear the differences between what people are going through with disabilities in America compared to Australia. I totally get what you're saying. We also have a thing in Australia where the government incentivizes businesses to help people with disabilities work from home. So, for example, the government will give them tax cuts for businesses if they have people who, like you said, they have a disability but they can work. And they'll say, look, if you offer that person a remote job, work from home, we'll tax you at a lower rate. So that's something we do in Australia. Yeah, yeah.
I
And that's
actually
quite,
like I actually like
mm,
that as somebody who
mm,
believes in, like, lower taxes for the most
yes.
part. Like, I
Mm,
think people should pay their fair share, but if they're doing
yes.
a social good, like
Yeah.
hiring people with disabilities, they should get a tax cut
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah, I
because
love
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it takes the pressure off of social
Government.
of the
Yeah.
government. They still
Mm,
might have to buy into Medicaid, but if
yeah.
they're reliant on SNAP, which is food
Yeah.
assistance, and
Yeah.
cash, with Social Security disability or SSI, guess what?
Mm,
Take Government's not spending that money on
mm,
people who only reason why they have it is because they don't have an access to work. I know
yes.
so many people who are on SSI who
Mm,
actually have doctorates and
mm,
master's degrees and would
mm,
love to work, but the
mm,
jobs aren't accessible, and there is
yeah.
not a benefit for businesses to hire people with disabilities,
Mm,
and as somebody who believes in capitalism,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? I believe in capitalism that
So
we
do
gotta
I.
give
Yeah. Yeah.
people an
Mm,
incentive to
mm,
to do the
yes.
right thing. Is
Mm,
we can't always say, "You're gonna be penalized," right? Like, the government can't
yeah.
run everything. We see what
Mm,
happens when the government's in too much of things. We're watching it
Yeah.
now in real time. We have incompetence in the United States. We have a bloated police state,
Yeah.
which is a dangerous clown show. And the only reason why it isn't worse is two reasons. One, they're
Yeah.
incompetent and so inept, it isn't even funny. And
Yeah.
two, we have the courts, and
Mm.
everything can't get to the Supreme Court.
Mm.
Thank
So,
God for the
Yeah.
courts right now.
Yeah.
so it's really, really my thoughts. And we have to stop
Mm.
this. We have to
Yeah.
stop this. We have to keep talking about it. We need,
Mm.
and the one thing I would ask you, Joe, specifically, since you live outside of the
Mm.
United States, is
Mm.
really to talk to your friends in
Yeah.
your network who have family members in the United States and let them know about this campaign.
Oh,
Because
well, yeah. Yeah.
and tell them that we're fighting for the same thing that we
Mm.
already have, but we're now not allowing. If we codify Olmsted, if
Yeah.
Olmsted gets codified, that means that they can't use we don't have money as an excuse anymore,
Yeah.
like they can now because home and community-based services are
Mm.
optional.
Yeah.
Right? If it's codified into law via updating the ADA, and it says
Mm.
a simple thing, and people need to be placed in the least restrictive environment,
Mm.
guess what happens? They will
Yeah.
find a way to make sure these things get paid for, right?
Yeah.
They will come up with other bills to make sure long-term care facilities
Mm.
are paid for people who need it, housing's paid for, more
Yeah.
accessible housing. Doing what you talked about, Joe, with giving businesses a tax cut if they hire
Yeah.
more people with disabilities in regular employment, not sheltered
Yeah.
employment where they're paying sub minimum wages. That needs to
Mm.
go. Like
Mm.
like the Say No to Crip Crow campaign is right now is focusing on Olmsted,
Mm.
um, and our other policy ask, which is updating like our websites to make them
Yeah.
accessible because of the Medicaid vehicle that people can't access websites for care
Yeah.
needs. How that's a problem. And so
Mm.
those are the things I want to just
Yeah.
say like and also this is the other thing I want to remind people who don't live here.
Mm.
As bad as it is here, please look at your
Mm.
own history.
Yeah.
Please, look at your own history of your own country. And it's not
Mm.
because I think America's perfect, 'cause I
Yeah.
could tell you as somebody whose grandparents knew Dr. King and Malcolm X and
Yeah.
Jesse Jackson and, Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, those are the circles my grandparents on my father's side, um,
Yes.
were in.
Mm.
Th the people with disabilities have more rights
Yeah.
because of what we did in this country.
Yeah.
And so I want people to look at what's going on in their country. And I'm not saying that we're not causing harm
Mm.
because we are a mess, but
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about how perfect you are
Mm.
like Canada, where they offer assisted suicides
Mm.
provinces for people with disabilities because they don't want to provide care. Or
Yeah.
in the UK, they have autism registries. They have an
Mm.
autism registry in the UK.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
those are the
Mm.
things that are scary,
Yeah.
um, and most importantly, just to put a button on this, please
Yeah.
subscribe to to Nothing About Us Without Us, which is
Yeah.
our publication.
Yeah.
Um Melissa is
Yes.
described,
Yeah.
and Melissa, you don't have a disability, but you are subscribed, and I'm gonna let you tell people why you decided to become a subscriber. You were following me,
Mm.
but then you decided to become a subscriber.
Yeah.
Tell people about the experience and why they should subscribe if they, even if they can't afford to become a paid subscriber.
Well, because the way I look at it is this is just being an ally, right? This is just being a decent human being. This is
Mm.
because the disability touches everybody. I don't think there's
Mm.
anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't know someone in their lives and I mean, I would say it shouldn't take that you know someone personally or that it touches
Mm.
you personally that we're all human beings here on this planet, all brothers and
Yeah.
sisters. So it shouldn't take that, but let's be honest. this is something we can all relate to on some level. And if you live long enough, you're most likely going to experience some disability at some point. And so I just love that Naida staked this claim, for democracy, because I follow so many pro-democracy groups and people. But Naida has such an interesting perspective on that from the disability community side of things. And so I really, really encourage everyone to sign up if you haven't already, and then also to visit the Crip Crow campaign website, which she put into the chat.
Yeah.
And real quick, too, I just wanted to give a shout out to Maria, because I want to thank you, Maria, for providing that information about the VA, the change in the policy on PTSD, because that is important. And so we can't go into that now, but if anybody wants to see a little more about it, Maria provided a link to that. But we have to actually wrap up now, I think, right, Joe? But
yeah.
but
No, I
Naida,
think I'm certainly going to promote it as much as I can on my channel, and I'll talk to people in Australia as well about it. Because I think culturally we're quite similar. United States and Australia, a lot of Americans live here, a lot of Australians live over there. So we can learn a lot from each other. And obviously, Australia's far from perfect, as you said. Any other country is. We've all done horrible things. I mean, the way Australians treated the Indigenous people, the people was awful. That's still happening now. So 100%. No country is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, and
but we can all learn from each other too.
That's right. Yeah.
Just one more thing. If you do decide to become a paid subscriber, for annual subscriptions until the end of the month, because of Disability Pride Month, it's 30% off forever. And that funds the work that we are doing as an organization. So none of that money goes into my personal pocket. It goes into the organization's kitty, as we call it. And so it pays for everything from like hosting our website and email and I'm gonna have to go to DC at some point. Like I need money to be able to do that. We can't do everything in district. They're usually not in district. I'm gonna need to do lobby day in DC in September or October. So that's what that's where the money goes, is for visiting members of Congress that are not my own members of Congress, that not in my state.
Right.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So thank you so much for inviting me on.
Thank you, Naida.
Thank you, Naida, for filling us in on all of this.
That was so interesting.
I will have you. We gotta me and you, Joe. We gotta do a solo, like a
100%. I would love to do that.
I've done one with Melissa. Now it's your turn.
I would love to do that, Naida. Invite me on. Yeah, I would love that so much. Yeah.
So it would probably be in the early evening, my time, which would be 6:00 my time.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I can get up early. That's fine. Yeah.
That's right. It is really early in the morning for you there, but it's either that or we do it at like midnight, and I'm gonna.
No, I'm happy to get up. I'm an early riser. I love to get up early in the morning, so I would love that, Naida. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm going to say goodbye and have a good night, everybody.
Thank you so much, Naida.
Thanks again, Naida.
Bye. Oh, that was amazing. Wow. I had such I was fascinated by that whole thing. I was like, oh, wow. It was such an interesting thing, because in Australia, absolutely. She's so articulate. In Australia, the NDIS is such a big thing at the moment. So I'm finding it interesting to sort of see the American side of what's happening over there when we're having the big debate over here. But it sounds fascinating. Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Yeah. I did mention it on one of our, just in passing, on one of our shows a few weeks ago, just to bring it up. And it's very frightening, and I don't think enough people are talking about it. So I'm glad that we were able to shed some light on it here tonight. And that Naida could join us, because she's really just sort of the fountain of knowledge on all of that. So
the thing is, just talking about like people with disabilities or minority groups, there is something at the moment where a lot of countries now, it's like it's not good to it's not good to talk about minority groups. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite. It's like in the old days you would say, "Oh, we need to look after minority groups," but now with like the rise of the far right, it's like they get demonized. They look at minority groups as as I don't know, like an obstacle in what they want
Or
to do.
burden almost for
A
something.
burden,
Yeah.
a burden or something.
Yeah.
It's very strange because you know, I didn't feel that 10, 20 years ago. It was okay for governments to
Right.
talk about stuff like that. You know,
Right.
it's like she was right. It's like we're going back to the 1800s or something. It's like
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like we're rolling things back.
yeah, exactly. All right, well, I'll let you go. It was so nice chatting with you. It
You
was
too,
great.
Joe, as
Yeah,
usual.
yeah, yeah. Thank
And
you,
we'll see you again in
everyone.
a couple
Thank you.
weeks.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
See you, everyone.
everybody.
I'll up. Don't forget to subscribe to the Outsiders. Subscribe to the Outsiders
Yes,
if
please.
you haven't already.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Great. And yeah. And see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.